I'm speaking to Wandale now, just still getting some feedback from students and on some things they might think about. Wandale, like in my class, I have this professor who refers to the Australian Aborigines, which is a group of like indigenous people of Australia. Sort of like how the Native Americans would be in North America. They have dark skin, and this professor was describing them to us, and he said despite their dark skin, they're still Caucasoids, which is an outdated term. But he said despite their dark skin, frizzy hair, and big fat negroid lips. So when I asked him about why did he say big fat negroid lips, he said he did not say that. And he said instead he said big thick negroid lips. What's the difference?
There is no difference, because plus one of the worst words in there is still negroid. I mean, so it shouldn't matter if it was fat or thick. I mean, that's something that should not be used. A term that shouldn't be used regardless of anything.
Do you think that's racist?
Yes, that's very racist.
Do you know what the mission statement for UT is?
I know, but I can't recall everything off of it.
What's the sum of it?
Some of it, that everybody's going to be created equal. I mean, it's basically the same thing as our Constitution. That no one will be put aside due to their race, religion, or creed. I mean, pretty much.
With that being the mission statement, now he's a professor with tenure, which means he's hired by the university now, kind of like you know what I'm saying? With him, do you think that he's following the mission statement?
No, I think he's going off of more of his own beliefs.
And do you know who Professor Dr. Stothers is?
Yes, I do. I actually have him for a class, but it's not that class. I have him for Intro to Anthropology.
That's who the professor was.
Really?
Taking his class, how did you feel about his class?
Well, I took his class last semester, and he never said anything to that about that race, but he was always saying things that were kind of inappropriate.
Like what?
He talks about different people. I don't know. I mean, he was just kind of, I guess, kind of unethical in some ways. I mean, he just it wasn't like he was teaching you the course. Is more like he's teaching you what he believes, and some of the stuff is just, it's not right.
Do you feel like you learned anything in that class?
The only reason why I learned anything wasn't because of him, because all he talked about was his experience. The only reason why I learned anything in that class was from the book.
From the book?
From the book. And that's what everybody said about that class.
I believe that's it.
That's it? So how many people you get? Is it still on?
Yeah, it's still on. I guess what I'm trying to do is capture like your emotions about it. You know what I'm saying? Because you are like the prime example of like you taking this class. You know him. He's unethical. You know, as you described him. Most people would say a lot worse things than what you said. You've been honest. You said that he's never said anything like that to the degree in that class. But can you understand, I guess, that maybe this is something that he could say?
Yeah, that's something that he definitely could say. I mean, I don't want to. It was last semester, so I can't really recall what he said. If it was that then, it would be fresh in my mind. But I remember him saying stuff, and everybody in the class kind of being like, why is he saying stuff?
Was it hard to study for his test?
It was very hard to study.
Why?
Because you don't know you don't know when to take notes and what is notes and what is not.
Was that the only class like this you've ever happened to take at UT that was like that?
To that degree, yeah.
Yes, really?
To that degree, yes.
Were there any study guides?
No.
Multiple choice?
Multiple choice.
But on the exam, were there things on the exam that you all covered in class?
There are a lot of things that we didn't cover in class.
On the exam?
Yeah.
What about in the book? Would you say that there's some things on the exam that weren't even covered in the book? Mm-hmm. You would?
I mean, covered it in, what do you mean?
Like that the book had like say for instance, you read the book. I know you read the book. I read the book for my class.
Yeah.
In my class, there were some things in my book that weren't even that weren't in the book.
I thought you said the other way. Oh.
No, there were some things that weren't in the book, in my book, that was on the exam.
Well, I mean, I can't really recall. But I know that every test I took was always something that wasn't covered or something the book talked about that he didn't talk about. I mean, it seems like he didn't even go by the book. It was kind of useless to have the book because he said it was a lecture class, but then he lectured and he moved subjects around so much that you didn't know when was notes and what wasn't notes. So when you took the test, you just had to read the chapters and just hope that you cover the stuff that he's talking about.
Do you think that's fair?
No, it's not fair.